Hello there, I'm Lloyd Evans. Welcome to Ramacrow. It's time for another voicemail. Today's voicemail is a special one. June called into the channel previously for voicemail 146, talking about how she wanted to disinherit her son, her Jehovah's Witness son, who is an elder, because he wouldn't listen. Thumbnail here, if Tibor is gracious. June has called in again with a follow-up voicemail, so let's give it a listen.
Lloyd, it's June from Marin in California. I am so pleasantly surprised. I came home the other night late. Today's Monday. Saturday night, I came back, which would be November 5th. And I turned on YouTube, and lo and behold, you were on with another voice message, and it was from me. So I had to listen, and I have to tell you that, you are the very, very first person in my life that has come through to me with true, sincere feelings as to how you felt about my story. Nobody can understand my anguish and my heartache over this. I know that you were interested in hearing back from me as to what I'm going to do. And frankly, at this point, Lloyd, I really don't know what I'm going to do. It's my only son. It's my only family, and my only grandchild. And, when I die, I won't know any better. All my worries, all my concerns will be over. And at this point, Lloyd, I would say I'm not going to do anything. I have a trust. Everything is bequeathed to my family. And when my son dies, because he's only 16 years younger than me, everything will go to my granddaughter. And since she's a Jehovah's Witness too, I don't think she's going to get married and have children because she's at home with her mom and dad, and she has a great life. She was a straight A student. I sent her to English classes for 7 years so she could be bilingual. She was first in her class. Her young ambitions were to become a veterinarian or an architect, and that fell through the tubes because they don't want them to have higher education. So, she's going to continue to live out her life in San Salvador just the way her mother has lived, and quite nicely through me. As far as the money that I've been giving them, they didn't ask for it. Certainly over the years, my son has gotten into financial problems and I bailed him out. And I saw that he wasn't making enough money to support his family. And I've worked hard all my life, and I probably only have maybe another 10 years left. So I figured, what the heck, I'll start giving more money to my family. But over the years, what's happened is that I'm not getting anything back from them. I don't get answers to my questions about my concerns about their faith. Anyway, so that's my saga, and it's going to continue. But I have some questions for you that I'd like answered. How did the 8 wonderful governing members get elected, and how did they get anointed? They say that Jehovah anointed them, but Jehovah didn't come down and anoint them. So that's one question. Who are these fellows? And, my biggest question, Lloyd, is, do you really feel that they believe what they're saying? Do you really feel that they believe? Or is their primary motive for being who they are power and money? That's what I want to know. So, Lloyd, I probably will be talking to you again in the future because you are my only hope for this terrible, terrible cult. And I wish I could speak as clearly as you do. You have a real talent, Lloyd, for just being logical, and I don't know what else to say other than I really, really appreciate your efforts and your channel. Until another time, sweetheart. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, June. It's just as well we ended it there because I don't think my head, I wouldn't be able to get out of the room if my head got any bigger. But you've said some really sweet things there, and I really do appreciate them. And I'm glad that I was able to at least relate to your situation and give you some kind of listening ear, I suppose. And thank you very much indeed for updating me or updating the viewers on what's happening. It sounds simultaneously as though you both don't know what you're going to do still, which is totally fine. And you also seem a little bit resigned to the situation. You say, you know, they didn't ask for the money. I'm not going to do anything. When I die, which might be in the next 10 years, I'm not going to know any better. So, you know, who cares, sort of thing. And, you know, that's entirely your call. That's entirely, you know, you're completely justified to reach any conclusion you want because it's your money, you know. And ultimately, you get to decide how your money gets spent, both now and in the future. The only thing I would say is that I'm sure the last place you want your money to end up is with these clowns, the governing body, who are doing so much damage and making people's lives so miserable. And, you know, the problem that you risk, I think you run the risk of money finding its way to them, because all Jehovah's Witnesses have to donate money or are expected to donate money. Even children, it seems, have to give their ice cream money to the organization. So if children are being guilt-tripped into giving their ice cream money to the governing body, then certainly your son and your granddaughter will be doing the same thing. And if it were me, if I were in your shoes, that would be a problem, you know? It might not be a problem for you, which is totally fine, but it would really grate on me, the thought that money I've worked really hard for is somehow finding its way through to them so that they can do what they're doing. And we know they're doing some particularly evil stuff, you know? So that's all I would say, really. But again, it's completely your call. I think you're very, very wise to set up a trust. That's the sort of thing that most Jehovah's Witnesses and ex-Jehovah's Witnesses haven't gotten around to doing yet, because, of course, were raised to think that the world is ending soon. So why on earth would you need a trust? Why on earth would you need something like a pension? You know, you don't do any forward planning whatsoever. And, you know, the fact that you've got a trust set up shows great wisdom and forward planning and prudence on your part. And I think it's excellent as well that your granddaughter is named in the trust. I just like to think that there's more hope for the younger generation. And it's heartbreaking to hear that your granddaughter has, like so many, spurned opportunities to become something, to, you know, be of greater help to her fellow humans, be it through architecture or through veterinary science. It's a real shame that the world is deprived of those talents because of the Jehovah's Witness stance on higher education. And if she were to ever wake up, I'm sure she would be incredibly annoyed and incredibly frustrated, as I was, that our hopes and dreams and aspirations were needlessly curtailed. But you just never know. You never know whether or not she'll wake up, and you don't know how she'll feel if she does wake up. But I definitely would feel more comfortable if I were in your shoes, with any kind of will or any kind of bequeathed money going to the younger generation than to, again, your son, who, I don't want to repeat what I said last time, but he's almost certainly going to be lecturing people in his congregation on how to maintain finances and how to live frugally and how to, not be materialistic or anything. And he's going to be talking to pioneers about how they should manage their finances and that sort of thing. And, you and I know that he's not really in a position to do that. And that continues to grate, but it is the situation. And again, you are well within your rights to say, look, he's my only son. He didn't ask for the money. At least the money's going somewhere. Look, you get to decide those things. But hopefully, at least by sharing your voicemails with me, and maybe there'll be more voicemails to come, who knows? I hope there will be. Hopefully, at least by bouncing things off me, you've got another perspective on things, and it seems as though you're feeling listened to. And to be honest, that's the most important thing as far as I'm concerned, that you derive help or some feeling of support from my response or from the voicemail video that I made, or indeed this voicemail video, and that others are able to relate to this situation or derive some kind of help or support. As to your questions about the governing body, I have talked about it quite a bit on the channel, so I'm not going to go into like a lengthy explanation, but suffice to say, on the question of how does the governing body get elected or anointed, well, those are two different questions. They claim themselves to be anointed by Holy Spirit to rule in the heavens with Jesus, with an elite number of 144,000 individuals who have ever lived who are Christians, like the cream of the crop when it comes to Christianity. They claim themselves to be part of that exclusive club. And it's a case of, there is actually a Stephen Lett video where he goes into this in more detail. Thumbnail here if Tibor is gracious. But it all boils down to, we just know. We just know we're anointed. And who are you to question it? So they claim for themselves that they are anointed, and they get elected to the governing body on basically an old boys club principle, where the existing members of the club get to decide which of their mates joins the club. And your chances of joining the club and being invited to become a governing body member will increase dramatically if, number one, you're claiming to be spirit anointed, and number two, willing to say yes to almost anything, willing to support the authority of the existing leadership. As to the question, do they believe, or are they cynical? Are they knowingly just trying to control and manipulate people? Again, this is a question that I've kind of grappled with in a few videos. And ultimately, my position is a nuanced position. I think it's very, very easy to kind of make this a binary thing where either they believe and they're completely deluded, or they are cynical and they don't really believe. It's tempting, isn't it, to make things binary. I tend to go for the more nuanced position that they partly believe and they partly are doing what they're doing with a purpose of controlling and manipulating people. I think it's possible to be doing both at the same time. It's why we have cognitive dissonance to begin with. The brain is capable of entertaining two conflicting thoughts simultaneously. And having been doing this now for over 11 years and watching their talks and listening to their talks, I'm convinced that these individuals on the governing body have bought their own BS to at least some degree and have convinced themselves of the lies that they are trying to foist on everyone else. But at the same time, their position and authority means they have access on a daily basis to evidence of just how corrupt and human and man-made and harmful and abusive their organization is. So they're able to do both, essentially. They're able to both believe that they are God's channel and simultaneously excuse themselves when it's convenient to do so. That's ultimately my answer. So again, thank you so much for leaving your voicemail. I hope I've done it some justice. And again, more than anything, I'm just grateful to have hopefully put a smile on your face and basically help you feel listened to. That's the most important thing for me. If you would like to leave a voicemail, the thing to do is go to speakpipe.com/Cedars, remembering to indicate clearly if you don't want me to broadcast your message on this channel. But that's all I have time for. Thanks so much for watching.